Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Kerbal Space Program Live. I am El Bristow and you are watching the Ellitopia gaming channel. As always, we are going to be loading up our game. Start with a quick rundown of a couple of things that have changed. I have added a couple of new mods which we may experiment with. One of them you will notice straight away with this little icon up here in the top left hand corner. I have added Kerbal alarm clock, which allows you to set some timers and things so that you don't forget to do certain things in the middle of your mission. Like when you need to burn at a particular point in your maneuver node, it will make sure that you don't zip past it on accelerated time. The other mod that I've added is hot rockets, which was recently reviewed by a couple of the guys in the Kerbal community. Hot rockets doesn't really do anything, but it changes some of the particle effects from the engines to make them all look nice and pretty. So we're going to have a look at that later today. Today's main mission is very much tied in to last week's mission to Minmus. If you remember, we have the WKR2 sitting in a very high orbit above Kerbin, and in the WKR2 is poor old Bob Kerman. He's been sitting in the WKR2 waiting for us to send a rescue mission. If you follow my YouTube channel, you'll see the little tribute that I did to Bob Kerman this week. But our mission today is to send up a rescue for good old Bob. And who better to go on the rescue than, bear with me a second, our good friend Jebediah Kerman, who is now back with us from his brief vacation. We had a slight mishap with Jebediah when I was doing some testing off screen. We had a bit of an accident and Jebediah decided that he needed a vacation for a short while. However, he's back with us now. Interesting to note that the mod that we have that handles the life support for the pods and our Kerbals actually means that even these guys in the orange suits don't respawn if we lose them, which means it's all the more important that we bring back Bob Kerman from his previous mission. Now, I have had a look at a recovery vehicle, personal orbital recovery craft. It's not anything fantastic, and it probably needs a little bit more work before we send it out. However, as you can see, it's quite a hefty beast. And the reason it's quite a hefty beast is because this is a very high orbit that we need to get this rocket to. And we need to get it up there with some space to put Bob Kerman. We need a space to put Bob Kerman in to bring him back home. So this is the new command pod that we unlocked, which has the space for 3 crew. Now we're going to send 2 crew with it in the hope that we can bring Bob Kerman back, but we may actually trade Bob Kerman for one of our white suited guys to actually bring the lander cam back and just see if we could have brought the lander cam back without it burning up in the atmosphere. But we're not going to risk doing that with Bob in the cockpit, so we will risk it with one of our white suited guys. Now, what we do need to check first of all is that this does have a heat shield. I believe it does. It has the life support system, it has SAS equipped, monopropellant, oxygen, blah 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 blah. I don't know about you, but I don't see a heat shield on there. Electric charge food, monopropellant, blah 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 blah. This one mentions ablative shielding, so I don't think that this has a heat shield either. So let's not make the same mistake twice. Let's stick a heat shield on the bottom of it, shall we? Where are they under? They're under here, aren't they? It's a 1.25. No, it's not. It's a... for the Mark 1-2 pod, yeah. Which is exactly what we are putting on. There it is. So here is our heat shield for the Mark 1-2 pod. Did that go on? Oh, yeah, it did. There we go. There is the heat shield. And we will put on the special decoupler designed for those heat shields rather than that one. Yeah, just make sure that that's back on there. So this is the thing that I put together. So we've got our 3-man pod with a parachute. We've got, this is an advanced SAS unit. We've got our RCS with our RCS fuel. These are not mystery goo, by the way. These are radial RCS fuel tanks. This fuel tank will hopefully be to manoeuvre us into position with Bob's craft. And then we've got all this fuel and all these boosters and everything, which will hopefully get us up there. One thing I am going to add is these guys, pipe end points. Now these are part of the Kerbal Attachment System mod. I want 2 of them. There we go. And they will allow me to attach the lander that Bob is in to this craft to transfer some fuel to it, because it hasn't got any docking ports on it or anything, because obviously we haven't researched those yet. So we need to be able to transfer some fuel so that we can deorbit that thing. I did think at one point about perhaps using some girders and building some kind of claw construction so that we could grab the craft and bring it out of orbit, but I don't think that that would be too reliable. Maybe we'll experiment with something like that later on to bring some of the debris down from orbit, but for this mission I think we're going to try with the fuel transfer method, and we will see what we can do with that. So this is the Personnel Orbital Recovery Craft, or PORC for short. And we have lots of solid rocket boosters. We have 3 of the Poodle engines, and we have some extra liquid fuel engines too. So this should be more than enough thrust and fuel to get this thing into orbit. Let's check that we've got our staging right, because we often don't. That there... Oh, click to exit again. I hate the fact that that button is right behind where you need to click. Bear with me a second. Okay, back into the vehicle assembly building. Okay, so back to where we were. Add a stage and bring that down. That's the heat shield that comes off. We may shuffle them around actually, because we may need the heat shield while we've got the parachute open, but we shall see. That's then the decoupler that's attached to the bottom of the heat shield. That's the engine that's down there. That's that decoupler. And then I think the rest of this should all be okay. Those liquid fuel tanks actually run out before are actually likely to run out before the solid fuel tanks, because I only got 2 of those and they burn pretty quickly with these engines. So I've put those first, then the solid fuel tanks, and then the other liquid fuel tanks. So this is the craft that we are going to try and send up to recover Bob Kerman. Who knows, it might be overkill, it might be far too much fuel, but we shall see. We are going to take Bill out, take Hudzor out. Actually, shall we not take Jebediah? I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's take Jebediah out, and we will give Bob Cottonary their chance to shine. Our double act can go and collect Bob Kerman from his ridiculously high orbit, his almost geostationary orbit. So that's the plan. we save it. Bob Kerman are going out to the launch pad. Okay, so we are back on the launch pad once more with Bob Kerman in the PORC, the Personnel Orbital Recovery Craft, ready to go and get Bob. And we are now running very short on time because Bob is apparently running out of electricity. So let's get up there quick. We're ready to launch in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift off. And we do have lift off. Let's just increase the throttle very slightly, because this is quite a heavy rocket. And we are almost straight away getting ready to drop off our liquid fuel tanks. There they go, those two. Shortly followed by our solid fuel tanks in a few moments, at which point we will have to increase our throttle. There they go, throttle up to 100%. And speed is increasing, which is good. And there go the last of our liquid fuel tanks, of our smaller liquid fuel tanks. So we are down to our 3 large skipper engines now. Let's hope we have enough fuel and enough thrust to get this thing up to meet Bob. We're going to be getting ready to dump these 2 side tanks in a moment, so I need to be flying straight for that. So we'll stop about there. And there they go. And they're away. We're good. Slight slowdown. But there we go. We're picking that back up again now. So let's hope this thing has got the oomph to take us up to see Bob. Okay, that's more like it, that's more like it. Let's come down now, nearer to our prograde trajectory. About there should do it. And we are now taking this outside the atmosphere at last. We need it a bit higher because we ourselves are still in the atmosphere. We can certainly slow our engines down now and level ourselves out. A bit. I don't actually want to be completely level. There we go, 82,000, 83,000. That should do for that. So let's cut our engines for the moment. Whoops. And wait until we drift out of the atmosphere, which we are just doing now. And then we'll be ready to start a burn to circularise this orbit. We're on roughly the same inclination, slightly off, but we should be okay. Here we go, at 75,000 metres. Let's start circularising out our orbit. There we go. Right, now let's see what it was going to take to get us up to Bob. I'm guessing it's not going to be as straightforward as that. Nope, that would be miles off. So, right, we are going to need to correct our inclination, which we will have to do here. Oops. Here. Is that? Oh, I see, it's that way. Right. Oops, too far. That'll do for now. So let's zip us round to here. That's 5 minutes away according to this. Let's get our target lined up. Now that's probably going to be a north burn, is it? Going to need that RCS on, I think. Yeah, here we go. Let our SAS line us up. Should probably have put some RCS thrusters at the bottom of this as well, but there we go. We haven't got a lot of fuel left in these tanks. That should do it. So that is, yep, inclination is matched. Now, how are we going to do this? Let's try here. Closer. Oops, where'd it go? So it's going to be around here. Aha, 8.3. 1.1, there we go, 1.1 kilometres. Now we're going to have to judge this pretty closely to get this right. But there we go, a 22-second burn in 27 minutes. What's this fuel like? Right, there's no point us trying to use that fuel. Oh, mind you, that's not going to be a 22-second burn like that then, is it? Great. I'm going to decouple these. We don't need those. We've got a full tank of fuel there. There we go. We don't want to waste our RCS. We've got plenty of SAS. Plenty of electric charge. Have we got plenty of electric charge? We haven't got plenty of electric charge actually. I didn't put any solar panels on this thing. That was a bit of a mistake. However, we are lined up. Let's take us round a bit nearer and we'll do a bit of a test burn to see how long a burn we're going to need on this. Yeah, helps if you engage the engine. Right, 42 seconds. I can handle a 42-second burn. That means we need to burn at T-minus 21. Which will be around about here somewhere. 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, and go. We are burning.